So, what's better, Excel, Google Sheets, or Numbers that's available on a Mac? So, first of all, this is strictly my opinion, and I understand that situations may vary, and also I don't know everything, right? But I'm just gonna say what my experience is with these three pieces of software and what I think is better suited for your situation. So first of all, let's get one thing out of the way. Numbers is not really a contender in my personal opinion. Right now, the current version of Numbers, uh, I don't think it's anywhere on the same level as Excel or Google Sheets. So, and the funniest thing for me personally is that I always thought that what would bother me about Numbers the most was the functionality. So I don't feel like it has a lot of functionality in it. But honestly, what really bothers me about Numbers is that despite of the fact that it's a native Mac application, when you work in it, it doesn't feel fluid at all. So it's just it feels like counterintuitive, like the whole workflow is just uh, very annoying for me personally. Now I understand that comes from like if you've been doing something in a way for a very long time and now you have to do it in a different way, that could really rub you in a wrong way. But I just feel like a native application should be working in a way that's fluid and that kind of works without you having to fight the software. In addition to that, there's a lot of things that is not available. So I'm sure it will catch up, but for the time being, right now we're in 2017. It is what it is. As far as what you should choose, now if you were just beginning, you're just a starter with spreadsheet applications, frankly, it doesn't really matter. Just use whatever you currently have. Because for a very basic spreadsheet functionality, either one will work just fine and it's going to be just okay. So you don't have to bother with purchasing a software. If you already have one, just use what you have. A lot of times, Google Sheets is looked at as an alternative or a cheaper or worse alternative than Excel, right? Now, personally, I don't feel that way at all. I don't feel like Google Sheets is worse than Excel. And in some cases, it's actually better than Excel, depending what you're using and what you want to do with your application. One thing that I do not like about Google Sheets is that, well, it's a web based application, right? And because it's a web based application, it's not as fluid, the workflow as you work in it, as it is with a native app. So when you open a native Windows Excel or even Excel on a Mac, it feels a lot more fluid and a lot more easier to work in it compared to working in the web-based interface. As to what you should choose if you're just starting out, I feel like Google Sheets is an amazing choice without having to purchase software. You can just open and you're good to go. And you can learn pretty much 80% of what you would have done in Excel, and you could do that in Google Sheets, and you would know Excel as you know Google Sheets for the most part. Now, granted, there are some things you can do in Google Sheets that you're not going to be able to do in Excel, and vice versa. Now, what do I like about Google Sheets? So let's see some of the main things that separates these two apps, other than one being native app and the other one not, right? So what's good about Google Sheets? So the first thing about Google Sheets is it's in a cloud, which means is a it's an advantage and disadvantage at the same time. So the advantage is that you can access it anywhere so long as you have an internet connection. Now, if you don't have an internet connection, then you have a problem. You won't be able to access your spreadsheets. Now, if you don't have internet connection all the time, then definitely Google Sheets is not the option you want to go with, right? Because you won't be able to access your spreadsheets as you're not connected. Now, granted, you can download your spreadsheets and kind of work in them and maybe import them later on, but I mean, the whole point is which one you choose. So, other things that are interesting about Excel and Google Sheets. Now, depending on the data type you have, you may find yourself more limited in Google Sheets as far as how much data you may have. And in general, I feel like Excel, if you have a good computer, can handle possibly more data. And a lot of times, if you do, like, say, financial modeling and things like that, you may find that Excel is going to work better for you because it's going to improve your workflow. Now, for everything else, let's talk about some things that I love about Google Sheets. Now, Google Sheets has some functions that are not available in Excel, which completely separates it from Excel for me personally, where I feel it just jumps ahead because of these few functions. I have no idea why these functions until today don't exist in Excel. Some of those functions is a lot of regular expression functions. So all the regex match, regex extract, regex replace functions that are available in Google Sheets, none of these functions are available in Excel. Now, granted, I know you can do VBA in Excel and get it to work like regex, but I mean, if I'm gonna be doing coding, then I could do the coding using Google Sheets as well, right? And get additional functionalities. But I want to share my spreadsheet around. I want people to be able to just open the file and run it. I don't want to have macros in it every time because as people open it, I don't want to get a lot of warnings every time, and some companies won't even allow some people to open files that have macros in them. So therefore, it's not optimal. It's a lot better when the functions are built in, similar to Google Spreadsheets. And that brings me to another point, like compatibility. As I was talking about these regular expression functions, just talking about how I want people to be able to open my files. Now, that's the second thing about compatibility, is that with Google Sheets, because it's in a cloud, everybody is on the same version. So I don't have to worry about somebody using a function that somebody else won't be able to use. So for example, ifs function is available in Google Sheets. Now, it's available also on the newer version of Excel. The problem is, I don't really feel comfortable using ifs in Excel, because if I work with somebody and I send a file to someone who doesn't have the current version of Excel, it's not compatible. So with Google Sheets, I don't have to worry about it. I can just go ahead and do it, no problem. And they're in the cloud, they'll be able to open no problem with sharing it whatsoever. Now, what are some other functions that I feel are great in Google Sheets other than regular expression functions? So functions like filter, amazing functions. I don't know still why it's not available in Excel. Sort function, Why it's not available in Excel, I have no idea. So some of these functions, again, I sometimes I just ask myself why, because it should be available. Uh, Split function, again, great function in Google Sheets. Not a function that you can find in Excel. Not sure why. Doesn't make a lot of sense. One of the most powerful possibly functions in Google Sheets is query. Another function not available in the last list of Excel functions. At least no alternatives right now. The other thing I really love about Google Sheets is the array formula function. Now, in Excel, to apply something as an array function, you have to use Control Shift Enter to apply it. Now, that should not seem a big problem unless you start working with other people. And when somebody opens your formula and they have no clue about array functions, they will just go back and hit enter to apply the formula. And now your whole thing stops working because of that. Now you have to do sheet protection and stuff like that to not have to worry about this, which I believe is ridiculous. Now, I like that in Google Sheets, you just use a function to handle an array formula, and you're done. It's amazing. I also like how you can actually, build new ranges using array formula, which I'll talk about in a separate video. But it's just amazing to me how great this function is and what type of things you can do just using array formula function. Functions like join, again, not really sure why Excel doesn't have it. It just doesn't make any sense. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I didn't forget about anything. Oh, another one is unique function, right? Other things that are great about having Google Sheets is that, uh, you know, it works with JavaScript, so it doesn't work with Visual Basic. But again, it has a script editor, so you can create your own functions, similar to how you can do your functions in Excel, VBA. And then it also can handle a lot of automation. Now, where it really shines is because it's in a cloud, you can have scheduled tasks without having to worry about your computer being turned on, things like that. You can have scheduled emails going out if necessary. Amazing options. It also integrates very well with, first of all, with Google products, right? With Google products, if you need something that integrates with them, no question, Google Sheets is the way to go. Very easy to integrate. Now, in addition, you can integrate it with a lot of other software. It has API to integrate with everything. Now, again, I suppose you could integrate Excel as well. But again, because this is available in a cloud all the time, it makes it a lot easier to work with these integrations. As far as what I don't like about Google Sheets, pivot tables. I don't think that pivot tables are as good as they are in Excel. I'm not even talking about like power pivots and all that functionality. I'm just talking about regular pivot tables. Lacking a lot of functionality in Google Sheets. Charts. I'm not crazy about the chart engine in Google Sheets in general. So the way you create charts, the way you modify charts, much more intuitive and much more detail in Excel. Table objects in Excel, which is automatic expandable range that you can create. There's no alternative really in Google Sheets to a table object. It shouldn't be a big deal to at least include an easy way to expand the range for pivot tables and things like that. But apparently, you can't do it, which are some of the drawbacks using Google Sheets. What are some other things in Excel so that are great? Power Query and Power Pivots, two amazing add-ons. Data Studio, Google Data Studio is kind of like a sort of replacement for Power Pivots, but it does not have all the DAX functions. It's not as powerful. It's a new product, so hopefully it will get much better. To really sum it up, I mean, if you are on a budget and you need to get a working spreadsheet and you have access, online access all the time, then use Google Sheets. You're not going to have any problems at all. Unless there is the cell limitation that you have. So if you find out that simply Google Sheets doesn't allow you enough space in the file, then you may want to think about something else. So with Google Sheets, I believe the current limitation is 2 million cells, which means if we go 2 columns with 1 million row each, that's pretty much all you can do. And again, I could be wrong about these numbers, but I believe that's where the limitations are right now. In the current Excel version, you have over 1 million rows and many columns to use. In my experience, once you have enough data, it's not really handling all that data all that well because it gets slower and slower. So it's arguable whether those additional rows are actually workable rows, but I could say the same about Google Sheets. But again, if that's not a problem for you, you can use Google Sheets, no problem whatsoever. And again, as I said, some of the things you may want to look into to understand which one you choose is look at pivot tables and charts and see if what's available in Google Sheets that covers what you need, and you're good to go. So that's my opinion about Google Sheets, Excel, and numbers. So I'd be interested to see what you think about it. So feel free to leave a comment with your opinion. I'll be glad to see what people think.